Right.
All right, it's
Thank you.
7 o'clock. We're going to call the meeting to order. I do have one addition, but I'll ask if council have any other additions this evening. So we are adding a truck and tractor pull, and Terry will give us the information on that under additions. Any other additions this evening? Okay, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Move it, approve as amended.
Okay, Councilor McDougall and seconded by Deputy Mayor McIver. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded. The agenda is approved with the one addition. We have 2 gallery presentations this evening. We are going to start with the Cape Breton Partnership. Oh, okay. How about we start with Grant Thornton and then we can do the Cape Breton Partnership after. That's okay. Is that too much trouble for you, Melissa?
No.
Yeah.
He's right here.
We just flipped you guys, Tyler, so I'll just call it in just a minute.
I was just telling her, to be back.
That's okay. That's us. I flipped your turn in the pecking order, and that's okay.
All right. Thank you for having me. My name is Jenny Kaiser. I'm with Grant Thornton. So as your auditors, we met with the audit committee last evening to discuss the financial results. We have an unqualified audit opinion, which means it's clean, no issues. So the only things outstanding on behalf of council is just the sign off on the statements, which we have provided to Aaron. So we can do a quick overview of the consolidated statements, which those are the public statements which will go to your website. So overall, the statement of financial position on page 4, it's very, very strong results. We have cash and cash equivalents of $11 million, just up from the prior year. So nothing really stands out, no large variances year over year. And then if we move on to our statement of consolidated operations, we have overall revenue of 10 million with expenses of 9, so an annual surplus of 1.2, which adds to our overall accumulated surplus of 39 million. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, we have the statement of cash flows, but that's kind of more nitty gritty. We did discuss everything with the audit committee last evening. I can discuss anything further, any notes, if anyone has any questions. But basically just around that, everything has been very good year. We had some delays in terms of the asset retirement obligation from Ames, so that's kind of our delay in presenting things this evening. But we have been on track and we'll be looking to deliver 2024 before September. So thank you.
Excellent. Any questions for Jenny at this time? Is there a motion for consideration? Okay, Eric.
So next slide there. Yeah, and just for information for the public and for council, the consolidated statement is the report that the auditors put their report on there in accordance with the Public Sector Accountability Board standards. But really the non-consolidated is the statement that we use internally and we use for budget purposes, and that's the statement that we use for setting our tax rate. And just to note, in that surplus of the $1.2 million in the consolidated statements, that's primarily grants that were received for capital, and the asset gets set up on a separate statement. So it is the accounting standard, and that's the way we have to report the revenue from grants, but you're not seeing the expenditure in that same statement. So it's a bit of a false surplus, but the non-consolidated statements, there was a small surplus there as well. So just not to the same tune as in the consolidated statements, just based on the different reporting standards. Now the report, so we did meet with the audit committee last evening. The audit committee consists of Larry McKeegan as the chair, Brandon Wells as a citizen appointee, and the councillors McIver and McDougall. The audit committee met with the town's auditors on November 1st of 2023 to review the audit plan for the March 31st, 2023 fiscal year. And again, last night, as Jenny noted, to review the results of the audit. And based on the results of the meeting, the audit committee, and there was a much more in-depth review of the statements. These will be on our website tomorrow or the following day. but based on the results of the review of Grant Thornton with the audit committee, the recommendation from the audit committee to council was to approve the town of Port Hawkesbury March 31st, 2023 audited consolidated financial statements and non-consolidated financial statements as presented to the audit committee at the audit committee meeting on June 17th, 2024. So that's the motion we'd like for consideration this evening.
Thank you, Aaron. What is the wishes of council?
I move the motion.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
It's been the motion has been moved by Councillor McDougall and seconded by Deputy Mayor McIver. Any discussion on the motion?
Question. Just on the question, Your Worship, I take this opportunity to thank our chairman, Larry and Brad, for the work they did, and Aaron and Carrie for sitting on the committee and wonderful work they did. So I'd just like to congratulate and thank them.
Thank you so much, Councillor. Noted. Any other questions? Okay, Councillor McCrory has called the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded. Motion is approved, and thank you so much, Jenny, for your time. Okay, so now we will welcome the Cape Breton Partnership. Tyler Mathis is here with us this evening. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for switching around, Oregon. So we're mindful of your time. So we just came from making this presentation to Victoria County, and yours is going to be faster. So thank you. We're excited to talk about Forward Together. This is the strategy for the CV Wren and for the island. I'm just going to take about a minute at the beginning and give the meat and potatoes to one of our consultants, David Campbell, who worked on this for us. And this came out of work that started pre-pandemic. It's paused for obvious reasons, and then that work was actually revisited and updated with lots of community consultations. There you go. The vision and mission are all in the hard copy that you have with you. And just a reminder, this is not just a plan for the partnership, or the Wren, or the town of Port Hawkesbury. It's a plan for all of Illinois and Cape Breton. And we have plans, as I'll say later, to make sure this can be incorporated into other organizations as well. I'm going to skip over the guiding principles and go right to David so he can go a little bit into some of what the plan shows in terms of the strategic pillars, and then I'll finish off a little bit at the end. So I'll turn it over to David, who's on the line. It's all you, David, if you're there.
We're not muted.
Tyler, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because I can't hear you folks, but I can speak to the slides, but I'm not sure why I can't hear you folks. I've tried to adjust everything on this end and I can't seem to figure that out. So I don't know if I'm on mute on your end or something like that, but if you want, I can start to speak to the slides. Does that make sense?
Yes,
okay,
please.
Great. So there are 6 strategic pillars, as Tyler mentioned. The first one is people. And so we talked to a number of stakeholders around Cape Breton Island, a number of businesses and workforce groups. And really the core of what we're trying to do here is about people, attracting people. We've got an aging population. A lot of people are aging out of the workforce, and we have to make sure we have enough population to meet workforce demand in the years ahead. So under the people pillar, we're focused on workforce development, making sure we attract talent and retain our young people into the region by exposing them to career opportunities. We want to make sure we're doing proper workforce occupational demand for the region. We want to work closely with the college and with CBU, ensuring that they're aligning what they do to the workforce demand, not only in the urban center, but all across the island. So the second pillar is around inclusion. And this is really looking at those folks that are having trouble attaching to the workforce or have been marginalized in some way, whether it's persons with a disability, Indigenous persons and others, and making sure that they are integrated into the workforce, that they have the same economic opportunities as everybody else. So there's a real focus on that in the inclusion pillar. If you want to move on there, reconciliation. So really this is an economic development strategy. So we're talking about partnering with our First Nations communities in Cape Breton Island and making sure that we're supporting them as they develop economic opportunities for their community, whether it's natural resources or services or other types of industrial development. And of course, those partnerships are already well underway. We interviewed and talked with First Nations leaders for the development of this plan, and really looking to partner with them in a spirit of reconciliation to make sure that their communities can achieve their potential in Cape Breton. And then strong communities. If you read the report, you'll see there's a lot under this one. We heard very loudly and clearly from talking to communities all across Cape Breton Island that we want to have the capacity to do economic development in the community. So that's making sure we have economic development people assigned to the region in the communities working on economic development opportunities, whether that's developing new industries or working with local businesses and opportunities. We want to look at housing development plans. You can read these in the actual plan. But really looking at creating economic hubs like Port Hawkesbury and trying to find ways to support that and making sure that people don't have to commute long distances to access services. That was a key focus coming out of the interviews that we did for this process. And then really looking at things like bringing post-secondary education where it makes sense into the communities. And then on the people attraction and retention side, really focused on the Welcoming Communities Initiative and making sure that we have the capacity to retain people in the community. And then entrepreneurship and business growth was another key pillar, and we wanted to make sure that we could support businesses. So I don't know, is there, so there we go. So we've got a number of traditional industries, a number of new industries, green energy, other types of opportunities, and we want to make sure that led by the partnership, working very closely with other partners, we're developing the industry opportunities, but also supporting entrepreneurship and making sure we have entrepreneurs in the region that are stepping up and taking advantage of business opportunities in our communities. And then finally on that one, we want to make sure that our communities are investment ready, that they have identified land opportunities, that they've identified economic opportunities and so on that can be supported in the community. And the last pillar was around innovation. And this is a national issue. We need to be more innovative as an economy. We need to work on productivity. It's particularly related to our export industries. So the plan has a focus on innovation, leveraging the assets that we have in the region, whether it's the Verschuren Center and other university-based research centers, but also provincial agencies and organizations that focused on innovation and making sure that they're also doing work in our region in Cape Breton Island. So there's a lot to be said about that to try and drive an innovative economy in Cape Breton Island, both in the rural and urban areas in the region. So those are the 6 strategic pillars. There's an implementation plan, and as Tyler, I think, mentioned earlier, this is not just a plan for the partnership or the CB-REN, but it really is an economic development plan for the region that touches on a lot of different organizations and municipalities. And the partnership will be the keeper of the plan, will be the reporter of the plan, will have a number of the initiatives in its own work plan. But we will be tracking this on an annual basis and making sure we're achieving and working to achieve the activities that we've listed in this plan, and hopefully move the needle and strengthen the economy and grow the population and strengthen the regional economy in Cape Breton in the coming years. So that, I think, is a little quick summary of the plan. And I don't know, it might be hard to answer questions because I can't actually hear you guys.
Well, I'll pass them on. We're a little bit under the gun, but if we can get questions, if required. David's been working with us for quite a while at council, and we've been very pleased with his work. And he's in Atlantic Canada, and Aileen Murray is his counterpart, based in Ontario, but they were excellent on the ground consultants. So briefly on next steps, David mentioned that yes, there is an implementation plan. We're applying to some other funding partners to get a person to work on an implementation plan that gets this into the community and how we can measure that together. These presentations, both municipal and First Nation, and moving forward into our business plans. And very briefly on our business plan is going to the next CB-REN board meeting slated for soon, and an AGM, virtual AGM scheduled for July 9th. Of course, that'll be just truncated, just business, kind of like we had Grant Thornton here, and then our investor summit in the fall. And Martin, when he was still in position, presented the last quarterly report, and that's was just something we initiated last year. We expect to do that for a full year for the first time this year. And with that, I'd like to introduce Rochelle, our new economic development officer for the Strait region, including Port Hawkesbury. Not a stranger, I don't think, to many of you, and we're excited to have her join our team in the Strait. She doesn't even have to have a move in my house, so yeah. But I just realized that would have been something. Yeah, she might use that against me in the future. But nonetheless, we have Rochelle taking this role, working with the town of Port Hawkesbury, of course, and the CAOs of Richmond and Port Hawkesbury, and Martin Thompson in his new role. And there is just a brief smattering of our comms team and our people attraction team and other members of the partnership that come to bear when required. And very last, the LOC, the Liaison Oversight Committee, so that's the CAOs, CEOs, wardens, chiefs, mayors of the CB-REN, have recommended to the respective councils that the Forward Together plan be adopted as the economic development strategy, not only for the REN, but for our individual entities. So we're asking for that. And with that, that's a 5-year strategy. The actual contract is now up as well. And so we're proposing a 5-year contract to complement the 5-year strategy. But in order to ensure that there's accountability within election cycles, there's a 3-year out clause. So 5 years contract with, if there's some issues, there's a 3-year out clause. And then of course, there's the regular contractual obligations for actually us to do exactly what we say we're going to do. So that's always cooked in. And so that's what we're asking for this evening, is an adoption of the strategy and commitment to go forward with the contract as recommended by the LOC.
Thank you. So we'll open up the floor for questions. No questions? Thank you very much for your information, and we will definitely be taking some time to absorb all of this, and we can certainly circle back in terms of the request and.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And I guess Victoria County today, moving forward with those things, and Richmond County adopting the plan as well.
Fantastic.
And bringing forward this to the next council meeting. So we're excited to move through this together.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, so if it's the wish of council, we could make a motion, there could be a consideration of a motion to approve the 5-year commitment with a 36-month notice, required exit
Or if you need more time.
contract. If you need more time to consider that, then that's what we can do.
Is there a rush for this? What's the
What's
timeline?
the timeline, Tyler, for, like, do you have a proposed window where you'd like to have all of the councils?
Well, this will continue until last time we did to council as we move forward. The latest being Wagmatcook, if I remember correctly, as well as Port Hawkesbury on the last iteration. Ideally, we'd like to have this one up by the investor summit. We realize it's summer. We realize this is the last council meeting, so these are all considerations.
Sure.
But this was the first time we could really bring this with a strategy. We didn't think it was fair to bring this before we had actual strategy ready to go for it.
Thank you. So I guess if our next, fixed meeting would be early in September.
Okay.
But if we do have an opportunity, we likely sometimes do have meetings, if need be. So yeah, if we can expedite it, we definitely will. But I think council will need you guys need a little time just to absorb the strategy. Yeah, but we will, like, if we can get it done before the investor summit, wonderful, and if not, we'll entertain a motion at our September meeting, which is the first Tuesday in September.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks so
Thank
much,
you.
Tyler, appreciate it. And nice to meet Michelle, and it's always nice to see Curly. Thank you for the books as well. Okay, so we'll move on now to acknowledgements. So I know some members of council do have some acknowledgements this evening. So quickly, I would like, first and foremost, to acknowledge June 21st as National Indigenous Peoples Day. As well, the month of June is Pride Month, and we proudly are flying the Pride flag this month in the town of Port Hawkesbury. I would also like to acknowledge, we did have a flag raising to celebrate our Strait Area Filipino Society on just this past Saturday, on June 15th, and Councilor Corey was there as well as I. I want to acknowledge that. And just for information for council, senior staff will send more information to you in the next week or two. But I wanted to acknowledge our Town of Port Hawkesbury volunteer this year is Sharon Harris. And I know Councilor Coyne would like to acknowledge our graduates, so over to you.
Thank you. Through your worship, I'd like to acknowledge the NSCC graduates and also the CERC graduates of 2024.
Thank you, Councilor. And over to Councilor McDougall. You have some acknowledgements this evening.
I have one, your worship, through you. Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge mother of two of her former employees. I would like to congratulate her today. Today is her 100th birthday. So Ruth McDonald from Mulgrave, two of her children worked for us for years, and I would like to congratulate her and wish her a happy birthday on her 100th birthday today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's quite the celebratory milestone. I don't know if we'll all make it that far, but God bless.
No.
Any other acknowledgements this evening? Okay. Thank you, Council, for sharing with the acknowledgements. Our next item is approval of our council minutes. Our first one, also included in your package, is a public meeting from May 7th, 2024. I would ask at this time if there are any errors or omissions. Hearing none, I would also ask council to consider the special public meeting of May 21st and ask if there are any errors or omissions. And that's a meeting minutes. Thank you. Any business arising from either of those two sets of minutes that council would like to discuss?
Just through your worship,
Deputy Mayor?
May the 7th meeting.
Mhm.
Is there any correspondence from the province on Reeve Street?
Terry, do you have any? We do have an update later on in the agenda, but did you want to?
Yes, your worship. So this afternoon, I did receive an email from Mark Brace from Nova Scotia Public Works engineer with an update on the items that we identified as issues for Reeve Street. So it was received later this afternoon. I do have copies, but it was just received later in the afternoon, and we can hand those out.
Okay, any other business arising? Or are you done on that?
No, that's just,
Okay, we'll move on then to council committee reports. Okay, no,
Yes, your worship, there's no motions arising from the last committee.
okay. So we will need to approve the minutes of our committee of the whole from May 21st, 2024. I would ask if there are any errors or omissions, and if there are none, I would ask for a motion to approve that set of minutes.
moved.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor McIver. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilor McDougall. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded. The minutes are approved. Any business arising from the committee of the whole minutes? Okay. Agenda item number 10 is motions from our in-camera session. We did not have an in-camera session today. So we will move on to agenda item 11, which is council reports on assigned committees. So we'll start with Councillor McCory.
Oh, sweet. Your Worship, May 29th, there was the LJ McEachern Regional Airport Committee meeting. May 31st, Strait Area Transit met. June 11th was the Strait of Canso Offshore Wind Task Force. June 12th was the Strait Richmond Housing Matters Coalition. And June 13th was the Eastern Regional Library Board.
Okay, thank you so much. Councillor McDougall.
As your worship, through you, some of the committee meetings I was at was the festival committee meetings. We had a couple of festival meetings, which is going well. Everything seems to be on tune. We had a police committee meeting 2 days ago in Mulgrave. We had an audit committee meeting yesterday here. And from June 5th to June 10th, I had the opportunity and the privilege to go to the FCN conference in Calgary. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Councillor Clement.
Nothing to report.
Okay, Councillor McIver, or Deputy Mayor McIver. Apologies.
Pretty much ditto with Councillor McDougall, with the exception, we have a waterfront meeting coming up on Monday.
Fantastic. And I'll circulate my written report once it's completed for council's consideration. That's all for all the reports. Okay, we'll move on now to our CAO reports. Over to you, Terry.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is Aaron McCacken's going to present our budget this year. So that will be the emphasis of our CAO reports. I'd just like, before we go into that, so the other engineering, marketing, recreation, tourism, facilities and operations, the written report that you received, anytime you need a question answered, please call me or call the manager or director. Before we get into that though, I'd like to introduce Sajin John. Sajin has been appointed to the acting manager of engineering and public works position. He's been with us a couple of weeks and has already made an impact on helping out and moving forward. Very fortunate to have him. He comes with significant experience in project management, a very large scale project management, and we're very fortunate to have him.
Welcome to the team.
Thank you, Sajin.
Welcome.
So I'm going to hand it over to Aaron.
You're going to skip through to budget, are you, Terry?
Yeah, I'm going to do the budget for you.
Okay.
That would be a very silly thing to do.
Not rude.
Through you, Your Worship, so just a presentation of the capital and operating plans for the 2025 year. So obviously, this is a culmination of a significant number of meetings and discussions with staff and council on priorities for the upcoming year. It'd be hard to talk about budgets without talking about assessment. Obviously, assessments is how we garner our tax revenue for the services we provide and the capital we have to finance. So as you can see on the residential side, top graph, we've had very flat residential growth until the last couple of years, which is the trend we're seeing nationally. We always compare back to a base year of 2014. So we've seen a 22% increase over that 11-year period. So roughly actually a 2% increase on average per year. So pretty modest increase in assessment, which we've seen primarily over the last couple of years. If we compare to last year's assessment, the assessment that we base our taxation on has grown by 6.6%. On the commercial side, comparing back to 2014, you can see kind of the graph was a little bit higher, dipped down, and it's grown again in the last couple of years. So yeah, only a 7% increase in our overall assessment over that 11-year period, so less than a 1% increase per year on average. But we did see 8% over last year, so a lot of that growth was in the last year. Just a highlight of the numerous schedules you have in your package. So we have a $9.1 million budget that is being presented this evening. Majority of the revenue side comes from property taxes from primarily commercial and residential taxes. 10% of our revenue comes from grants in lieu. That is federal and provincial non-taxable properties that we receive a grant in lieu of the taxes. It's equated to the exact same amount. And some other recreation and sale revenue services provided to other governments make up the balance. On the expenditure side, we are presenting a balanced budget. We have to. Most significant expenditure, showing 21%, the dark red there, is our protective services, being our police services and fire protection. Couple of things to note just on the operating side on the expenditures. Our fiscal services, that orange block up at the top, is a little bit higher than we typically have. That's because some of the tax revenue that we had over and above last year, that 6.6% residential and that 8% commercial, we put back into capital. We do have a heavy capital year, and so we're using some of that tax revenue to help fund our capital this year. So fiscal service is a little bit higher. Another item to note that not large dollars, but something that's a change in the current year on the waste piece. It's only 3% of our budget, but we have added an additional 4 composting collections in the summer months to try to alleviate some of the concern around the composting. So we will communicate that out to the public in the very near future. All right. Oh, fancy. So we have $6 million in taxation revenues of that 9.1 million. With that, we are maintaining our tax rates at the rates we've had for a number of years. Our residential tax rate will be set at $1.58 if we move forward with this plan. The commercial rate would be $4.16. These are based on $100 of assessment, and the sewer service charge is 22 cents per $100 of assessment. And again, to note, the town's all-in residential tax rate at $1.80, which is the sewer rate plus our base rate, is the same as it was in, I think it says 1987 underneath that square. On the capital side, very significant plan, $12.6 million. A lot of this is larger carry forward projects, so around $9 million of previously approved projects in previous years. Those are primarily our ICIP projects around water transmission and distribution, active transportation, public works rebuild. So a number of carryover projects, but we are adding 3.575 million in new projects this year. That 12.6 million is funded in this plan, 3.8 million from reserves. And, the projects are leveraged at 55%. I think that's an important number and an important stat to look at. So yeah, of the projects that we have on plan, we're receiving external funding for 55% of them, which is a good leveraging number. And we are replacing 37% of our prior year consolidated net capital assets with that 12.6 million. So just some highlights. Everybody's having troubles with this tonight. Okay.
I can put it.
Go back to the project highlights with the water tower there. Thank you. So yeah, just project highlights for the current year that's in our capital plan. So 2.9 million of that 12.6 is the anticipated current year treatment plant and distribution system upgrades. On our streets and sidewalks, there's an investment in asphalt rehabilitation. We're looking at 600 square meters of asphalt rehabilitation in various areas around town. We are maintaining, funding in our budgets that we've improved over a number of years for patching. and 1,400 meters of sidewalk replacement. Maybe next slide, Terry, thank you. On fleet, looking at a tandem replacement for the current year, there's some internal and external kind of technology upgrades in this facility. Generator installation to allow for the creation of a comfort center in this facility. Again, as I mentioned, the Public Works building facility rebuild in the current year, and some public green space improvements. On the recreation side, ball field lighting upgrades, as well as mechanical upgrades at the straight area pool. Next slide, please, Terry. On the active transportation front, so the continuation of that Connecting Port Hawkesbury and Beyond project, the connectivity focused project, Eastern Town is the connection from that project, as well as some improved connection on Pine Ridge. Additional connections that are being planned currently for along the waterfront, Reeve Street and Tamarack. So those would be in the planning stages at this point in time. Next slide. That's it for the highlights. So yeah, happy to answer any questions that council has at this time.
Any questions for Aaron at this time? Deputy Mayor?
No, Your Worship, not, just maybe to thank Erin for all the work that she put into this. I know she had some long nights with council. And maybe from myself to thank council and yourself for the work done on this budget.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Any questions for anyone else? Okay, Aaron, do you want to?
Worship.
One more.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Not that small. Yeah, different.
You're so tiny, I didn't even see your hand.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. I would like to also echo Deputy Mayor's comments. I know it hasn't been an easy process. It's always been a lot of work for council to do a budget. There's many, many meetings, trying to get everybody together. It's not easy at times. Everybody's doing their thing. But for Erin to put up with us as much as she did, and all the work that she did for this, I want to echo the Deputy Mayor's comments and thank her and say how lucky we are to have her. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay. You're popular councillor.
Oh yeah, that's it. We're lucky to have you too. No, but seriously, when you think of, I do want to say that when you look at the assessment trends and the challenges that this council and other councils have faced, it's not easy when you have a significant amount of public pressure for, and sometimes don't understand the fiscal responsibility you have when trying to balance, your growth, limited growth or negative growth, with all of the wants and needs of staff, council, and the community. So it's not an easy job, but yeah, we try to put the best plan forward. So yeah, moving forward to the next slide would be the motion that we'd want to consider for the evening. So for the 2024 and 25 operating and council budget ratification, council agrees to move forward with this budget. The following motion would be considered. The town of Port Hawkesbury approves the operating and capital budgets as presented June 18th, 2024, with a residential tax rate set at $1.58 per $100 of assessment and a commercial tax rate set at $4.16 per $100 of assessment, and a sewer service charge of 22 cents per $100 of assessment for the fiscal year 2024-25. Property taxes are payable as billed by June 1st, 2024 and October 1st, 2024, and interest will be charged at a rate of 18% per annum on overdue accounts.
Okay, thank you so much, Aaron. What is the wishes of council?
I'd move to approve the motion.
Okay, Deputy Mayor McIver has moved the motion. Do we have a seconder?
Seconded.
Okay, it's been seconded by Councillor McDougall. Any discussion on the motion?
Question.
Thank you. The question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is approved.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Michelle.
Any other
That's all for me.
items on
Thank
that?
you.
And back over to see if you have anything else to report from the CAO. agenda.
No, Your Worship, that concludes the CAO reports.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I didn't see any correspondence in
No.
our agenda, or proclamations or resolutions, but we do have several items under other business. Our first item that that Terry will review for the benefit of council is the expense report.
Yes, Your Worship. So every month we review the expenses incurred by council members and the CAO. What's on your screen is the expenses for the month of May. And that expense report will be posted to our website for review.
Perfect. Any questions? Everyone is good with that? Okay. We'll take silence as acceptance. Our next item is Old Sydney Road Bench, and I'll hand things over to Councillor Point for that item.
Thank you, through you, Your Worship. I received a couple of phone calls from a resident about a bench that was placed in front of their home on the Old Sydney Road, basically at the intersection of Old Sydney Road and Queen Street. The bench facing her home, the complaint was that when people sit there, they're looking right in the bedroom and the living room window. So I went down and I sat on the bench, and she's absolutely correct. When you sit there, you're looking right in the window. So the resident had reached out to staff and then reached back out to me again. So when she called me the first time, I said, reach out to staff. If you're not happy with the answer, come back to me. So she was definitely not happy with the answer from staff, brought it to me. I did share the email that was sent. And when I went and I sat on that bench, she's right. She's not comfortable in her own home to leave her blinds open in her living room or her bedroom. She has 3 children, and they don't feel as comfortable either. So today, I'm here to ask council, I want to put a motion on the table and ask council to have that bench removed. And if council is in agreement, we can put a planter, we can put flower box there or whatever to make use of the pad that's put in for that bench.
Could the bench be repurposed at another location?
Absolutely, we could, it's something we could even put down in Sunset Park or the waterfront or even across from the old McIsaac store. There's lots of places that bench could go.
So Councillor Coyne has a motion that he has put on the floor. Do we have a seconder before we can discuss?
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion that has been seconded by Deputy Mayor McIver. Did you want to add anything to that before we?
I'm good for now.
For discussion. Deputy Mayor, did you want to make comments first?
I can, Your Worship,
Seconder?
through you. I also did check out the bench, and everything that Councillor Coyne stated is true. It looks right in the living room and bedroom windows of the house. And if it was my house, I'd feel a little uncomfortable about it too.
Okay, thank you, Pat. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Anybody else like to?
Yes, Your Worship, through you, I don't see this being a big issue, but it seems to.
Smooth the bench
Something pretty-
themselves.
Exactly.
Councillor?
No comment.
Okay, all right. Any other discussion?
Question.
Okay, thank you. The question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Okay, the motion is approved. Councillor Coyne, any other?
That's all I have on that topic. Thank you.
That concludes that topic? Okay. So we're going to move on to the PCAP application, and we have Jason McMillan as the person on that, unless Terry, did you want to discuss that?
Yeah, I think I can do that.
Sure.
So we have a PCAP application in for funding for improvements to the water treatment plant. So that's our PLC, or our electronic control systems at the water plant. The existing PLC or controls are antiquated. We can't get parts. We need to replace that system. We hope for that to be part of a larger project, but we couldn't fit that in. So we made application, and we need the approval of council to proceed with the application for PLC upgrades at the water treatment plant. In order for us to do that, there's a resolution motion for consideration that whereas the Department of Municipal Affairs opened applications May 2nd for the Provincial Capital Assistance Program Be it therefore resolved that the town of Port Hawkesbury approves the submission of one application to the Provincial Capital Assistance Program for the Water Treatment Plant PLC Upgrades Project.
Okay, what is the wishes of council?
I'll move the motion.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Coyne. Do we have a seconder?
A second motion.
Okay, seconded by Councillor McQuarrie. Any discussion?
Question.
The question has been called. Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Okay, the motion is approved. Does that conclude that item, Terry?
Yes, it does, Your Worship. Thank you.
Okay, our next item is considerations from public hearing.
So 3 motions coming from public hearing this evening. The first motion for consideration with respect to Memorial Drive, that the town of Port Hawkesbury gives second reading and approve entering into the development agreement for a maximum of 80 units on lot 5B, PID 501-55779, Memorial Drive, Town of Port Hawkesbury, Inverness County.
Thank you, Terry. What is the wishes of council?
I'll move the motion.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Coyne. Do we have a seconder?
Second the motion.
Okay, seconded by Councillor McQuarrie. Any discussion?
Question.
Thank you. The question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded? The motion is approved for second reading and adoption.
Thank you. The next motion for consideration is that the town of Port Hawkesbury approve the amendments to the town of Port Hawkesbury municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw as outlined in Appendix A of the staff report dated April 25th, 2024, to allow additional uses in the commercial restricted C4 zone, to relax architectural requirements for accessory buildings in the specific zone, and to amend signage provision.
Thank you, Terry. What is the wishes of council?
I'd make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McQuarrie. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Coyne. Any discussion on this motion?
Question.
The question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? The motion is approved and adopted.
And the last motion for consideration from public consultation session, that the town of Port Hawkesbury gives second and final reading to the alternative voting bylaw effective June 18th, 2024.
Thank you. What is the wishes of council?
I'll move the motion.
Okay, Councillor Coyne has moved the motion. Do we have a seconder?
Second the motion.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McQuarrie. Any discussion on the motion?
Question.
Okay, the question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? The motion is approved for second and final reading and adopted. Okay, our next item is Reeve Street update. So I'll hand things over to Councillor McQuarrie to start off that discussion.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to defer to the deputy mayor to do that.
Sure, we started with, I guess, during our business
Yes.
arising. So if you wanted to, you can continue the conversation.
Well, as the CAO said, he has an update, so
Yeah.
I guess before discussions, we have to see the update.
That is. Terry, would you mind reviewing the document?
Yeah, certainly. So just a little bit of background. We met with Nova Scotia Public Works engineers on Friday afternoon. We being Jason McMillan and myself. We met with Mark Brace, Dwayne Cross, Paul Colton, and Brian Harrison. And we reviewed all of the concerns that were raised by the town with respect to the Reeve Street traffic improvements that were made, or the traffic improvements that were made on Reeve Street by Transportation and Public Works. And there was a total of I believe 14 issues that were discussed. So what we asked them to do, we asked them first to attend a meeting to be able to review it in person with us. They didn't have the study prepared, so they didn't have the report prepared by now. So in lieu of that, they agreed to send us an update on all of those 14 issues. So we can I just received this late this afternoon, and just giving it to you now. So I can certainly go through issue by issue,
That would be great.
or, okay. So with respect to adding shoulder mount signs, moving up Reeve Street, the hill to indicate lane changes ahead. The work is ongoing and should be completed within the next 3 weeks. So they were awaiting the approval of the traffic authority, and it would appear that that's moving forward. Crosswalks at Reeve Street, Highway 4 signals are not accessible. Pedestrian button at Cardell is impeded by a guardrail. Guardrail adjustments to be made in this area within the next 3 weeks. Curbs along Reeve Street need to be swept and cleaned. Excessive buildup of garbage impedes water flow in catch basins. Department of Public Works does not typically provide road sweeping on an ongoing basis, but Public Works street sweeping crew will be available on an as-needed basis. Currently expect them to be on site this summer. Reynolds Street, Reeve Street traffic queuing from the east a few times per day. This has caused excessive waiting times for turning on Reynolds Street. This is a long-term issue occurring in peak hours. However, traffic counting program this summer, coordinated by Department of Public Works staff, will help to evaluate the current traffic volumes and address the problem spots. This count will also support the evaluation of the RRFB crossing at the Old Sydney Road for potential conversion to RA5. So the RRFB is the more simplified crossing lights that are up right now, and we've asked them to consider the more full-scale crossing like you see at Macquarie and Reeves. I'm sorry, McSween and Reeves. The AT network should be extended along Reeve Street and Pitt Street intersection to Sydney Road. Public Works will work with the municipality to accommodate their work and extend their AT network. Overhead mounted lane signage in advance of the Pitt Reeve intersections are not adequate. These signs are not prominent enough to provide required advanced information for lane configuration. This causes motorists to make late decisions and lane adjustments very close to the intersection. Additional painted lane arrows are needed further down Reeve Street in advance of the signal. And the answer is to expect the addition of the new side mount signs to provide better guidance. Issues with drivers entering the right turn lane and proceeding through the intersection to be resolved with curbing directing drivers into the through lane and closure of one of the uniform driveways in the future. The seventh item is left turn lanes into Sobeys from Reeve Street is short. Also concerns with the position of the turn lane in relation to the separate exit entrance lanes into the plaza. Access management upgrades in this area would be helpful. Line painting can be reviewed and included in the next line painting program. Expect the median curb to be removed with the future AT upgrading as it does not appear to be necessary. The eighth one is the RB11 sign at the TD Bank are confusing. Folks have asked if they are allowed to make a left turn into the Subway restaurant coming from Pitt Street, Pitt Reeve intersection to be resolved with the closure of the site driveway onto Reeve Street, eliminating the need for this signage. RRFB crosswalk at Sydney Road is very wide for the typical RRFB application. Although it may be still at the maximum spacing, residents have concern with visibility of flashing lights during the day and with getting drivers' attention given the spacing. A new RA5 crosswalk would be the preferred treatment for this area. With the road cross section in this area, the AT expansion with these poles can be relocated to closer to the roadway, which will be narrow to a standard three lanes. Will create a shorter crossing with more visible lights. In the interim, this site is being evaluated for conversion to RA5. Sydney Road intersection, waiting to make left turns can be excessive depending on the time of day. And yes, suggested making the left at Reynolds. I'll get clarification on that as well.
Yeah.
During rain events, we have seen much of the water flowing from Reeves Street into the Civic Center parking lot. This water has previously been intercepted by curb, where the right turn lane channel has been installed. And the answer is some additional water may be diverted along the gutter along the right turn slip lane. This amount should be marginal and managed within the gutter system. Proper road crowning should not allow water to interact with the parking lot driveway. So we will ask, we certainly don't necessarily agree with that. We haven't seen excessive problems in the winter, but it was an issue that we raised early on. There should be sufficient width within the lane to make the right-hand turn, although recognize it is tight and untimely, will be resolved with the closure of McSween Street. I'm sorry, that's with respect to the turning on from McSween Street turning right onto Reeves Street from McSween Street. That's that tight turn that you have to make.
It's really tight.
So the answer is that what we have planned for a very long time, and that's closing that entrance from McSween Street and diverting traffic is what they're saying. Previous discussions noted closing this end of the intersection and completing the required street realignments, and they have agreed to that. Yes, McSween Street is to be closed. The current position of most of the traffic signal poles at Reynolds, Reeves, and Pitt Reeves intersections are not accessible. The poles should be moved and upgraded to allow for adequate pedestrian ramps and full width sidewalks. Also, signals should be provided with accessible audible features and pedestrian countdown timers. Signals in this area are due for lamping and other work. Button extenders can be installed in the near future with the countdown timers. Pole positioning and other concerns built into the future work to be discussed with the municipality. Permissive protective left turn signal at Reynolds and Pitt Street. This would help with excessive wait times. It's to be evaluated with the other signal work and updated traffic counts. So they have agreed to do traffic counts at Reynolds and at Old Sydney Road, and also on the west end of on Reeve Street at our bridges. Lane lines and arrows at Pitt and Reynolds intersection tend to wear away quickly. More frequent painting or thermoplastic paint application may help with the issue. And what they've said is the current line painting program is to be assessed once a street is repaved. In the future, more robust treatments, thermoplastic, depressed line painting areas will be evaluated as an option. Other items raised, and the other one is the sort of the last one, is around the issues that we raised in the west end of Reeve Street. Still Reeve Street, but it wasn't part of that Reeve Street project, so they're not commenting.
Thank you, Jerry. Any questions with regard to the correspondence? I'll hand things back over to you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. Number 8, I didn't quite, the RB11 signs at the TD Bank building are confusing. That would be the old TD Bank, I take it.
Yes.
And folks are asked if they are allowed to make left-hand turns into the Subway restaurant coming from Pitt and Reeve Street intersection. To be resolved, the closure of the site's driveway. I don't think that's very acceptable to a business.
Yeah, so that's another one that, absolutely right. And that's another question that we need clarification on. So that's not the main, so there was an issue with the misunderstanding of the signs and restricting traffic in and out of Subway. That wasn't the case, but the signs were confusing there and the signs are to be replaced. With signage coming up Reeve Street to give more warning that the changes are occurring and the specific lane changes that will occur. But I'll get clarification on that. I'm not aware, there's been no discussion on lane or driveway closures, especially with respect to with respect to Subway or the buildings around it.
Also, through you, Worship, I have concerns about the Pitt Street entrance. Are they planning a curb right out to keep people to come out off the hashtag?
Is that under 11?
Yeah, under, I thought it was 6. Was it?
6? Okay, I see that. Did you
I'm
read the
reading that
question,
right.
Deputy Mayor?
Well, it looks like at an intersection, I don't know if it's, maybe it's Sobeys.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Sobeys,
Okay,
with the meeting.
Number 7.
so number 7 is the left turn into Sobeys from Reeve Street is short, which I agree. The other day I witnessed with the traffic backing up. I seen drivers frustrated and just come out of the line of traffic and drive down the center of the road to get to Sobeys. There is significant backup of traffic. It was mentioned, I guess, unofficially at our meetings that we had last week that there was what seems to be the holdup. And I did hear a lot of people complaining it's taken 3 lights, like to get by McDonald's, like that stretch. And it is certain times of day. We had previous, I guess, it goes 11, then it goes 1, 2.
11.
Yeah.
Yeah. A previous discussion noted closing the end of the intersection and completing the required street realignments. Yes, we discussed closing McSween Street, but one of the concerns were, I guess from council, was that this was not to be any cost to the town, and it doesn't indicate anything there about that. And also, this report, it's unsigned. Like it doesn't really come from anywhere.
Did we request a meeting for them to go through this?
We've been requesting meetings on and on and on and on with them, and they've been given excuses. And other councillors, including myself, I guess, have requested information, and it's very slow coming. So I think to really get this moving, it is, I'll make a motion that the Reeve Street be turned back to 4-lane
I guess, from this council, and it being a provincial highway, it would put the onus back on the province to get the changes corrected and prove to the municipality that it can work and at no cost to us as taxpayers. So I put that motion forward.
Could you repeat that, Deputy Mayor?
Can I remember it? I put forth a motion to change Reed Street back to 4-lane.
So to petition the province?
To see if it will move the project forward with the province, and understanding that the province does have all the authority on that.
Of course, it's not our street.
So if it's a recommendation from us to change it back to 4-lane, they may move quicker and maybe more interested in coming to meet with us and discuss it.
So your motion is strategic?
Yeah.
To have the current issues corrected, no more traffic time again.
Correct. I'm making a request, I guess, to council to approve a motion to turn it back to 4-lane. And that puts the onus back in the province's hands, which own the highway, to come and present to us and tell us why it should be like this.
Do you have a seconder for the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, and we have a motion on the floor for discussion. We'll start with Councillor Coyne.
Through your worship, I want to go back to this handout for a minute. Number 6. When it talks about the curbing, is the curbing coming out further? And have we contacted, or have they contacted Unifor about taking away one of the driveways? There's some questions I would have with that.
What number is that?
Number 6.
Number 6.
Through you, your worship.
Yes, go ahead.
So I don't know what the status is on the communications with Unifor. Certainly the town has not. That was the original design, was that would be like, it was an access management project. So it was the idea is to reduce the number and the types of accesses into the businesses on Reedy Street. That was one of the accesses that was to be removed. And because of that, changes had to be made to the traffic, to the lane alignment. A new alignment would have, you're not relying on hatch marks and lines, you're relying on curb placement to be directed. So it's not subtle. There's only one alternative you have when you go through that intersection. That's what that
Okay, so
is.
am I understanding that the curb is going to be in between the 2 lanes?
No, the curb would be on the other side. So the road alignment changes. You'd have to see a drawing of the road alignment. So it was actually the initial road alignment for that intersection. So the road would be realigned so that there's one continuous lane that goes through that intersection, instead of one turn going this way, one turn going that way into Pitt Street Civic Center, and one going through. It'll be very obvious which way you have to go through the actual road construction. Hard to describe without a drawing, but we can certainly provide that because that's how it was initially designed. As far as a change in the access to the to that business, that's something that that Nova Scotia Public Works will have to.
I'm still really not sure where this curve is going, but anyway. And I believe when we were looking at the one about Subway, I wonder if they're not talking about the driveway into the daycare off of Reeve Street and not Subway.
I think that might be correct.
Yeah.
I don't think it's about Subway. And I think in former discussions, I believe that they did talk about closing that.
They did.
Yeah, I think it just might be lost in translation.
I'm going to be, strangely for me, I'm going to be quite frank here.
That's so unlikely.
I see they're talking about traffic counts and they'll get back and work with us and they're going to work with the municipality. Almost 4 years I've been on this council. It's been over 2 years. We've been crying for them to come meet with us. I understand the frustration from the residents. I understand the frustration from council. To say that some of us have lost patience would be an understatement. And I think that's where that motion comes from tonight, is the lack of communication and the fact that we can't get in front of them. You know, we put a committee together to discuss this. Then I hear our Terry tell us that, you know, him and Jason have met with them recently. Why were the committee members not part of this? Why was council not part of that? If they can meet with the staff, they should be able to meet with us. It's us that have the final say in what the town wants. And for over 2 years, we've been trying to get in front of them and we can't. I support the 3 lanes with the changes, but tonight I have to support the deputy mayor's motion because maybe it will make them come talk to us. And I'm very disappointed that it comes to that to get them at our table. I'm done.
I think
You
he's done.
finished.
It was like a 5
Are
to
you
6
done?
second pause, so over to you.
Thank you, Your Worship, to you. Through you, to just a question to Terry, I don't know what number it is, but I'm just trying to see if I heard you right. Did I hear a left turn on Reynolds to get to the old Sydney Highway, the old Sydney Road?
Yes.
What's it,
That would be 10.
10, is it?
Yeah.
Sydney Road?
So the saying go
It's
down.
using an alternate intersection.
Instead of staying on Reed Street,
Instead of
telling you to go down Reynolds, take a left to access.
to
So
avoid
onto Queen and then onto Old Sydney. Right.
Oh, go around, turn around town. Well, you can say that with everything. You can make a left turn anywhere. You gotta go right around town to go, out of town. Anyway, I'm a little frustrated to say the least, and you're talking about 2 years since we've been asking them to come and meet with us, the provincial works department, and like the mayor did state, and everybody stating, it's their highway. You don't see the craziness in Antigonish or Glasgow, Truro. The highway splitting their towns in 2, and it's their responsibility to do everything. Now you're saying 4 years, it's been 8 years. 8 years this has been going on, this Reed Street project. Since I've been re-elected back to council, it was 8 years ago. And their term is up in another 3 months. So that's 8 years in my math. Now, Cole, we said that the 3 lanes was gonna work and it was gonna work good and we would never know the real ramifications until after COVID. Now, after COVID is gone and you can see the ramifications. Like the deputy mayor stated that we were at a police meeting the other day and it was brought up. Why is it so? Backfill and flooding, or for lack of a better word, on Reed Street lately. And it wasn't brought up by, there was 4 of us in Fort Hawkesbury on the police commission, and it wasn't brought up by the town of Fort Hawkesbury. It was brought up by another municipality. And their people, and the people that live in the town, they know what to do. They're driving through the streets, like you just said, to get to point A to point B because they know where to go. But if you're a tourist and you're coming from somewhere, you don't know where to go, how to do that. You're stuck. So it's not only the Sobey's left turn, any left turn that there's 3 or more cars, they get in that lane, the 4th car wants to turn, has to stay in the other lane. So every time, regardless of light changes or what, there's a lineup behind us. All the time, every day, it's like that. Now, we're here 18th of June. Summer doesn't start till the 21st of June. We have lots of festivals. We have lots of events going on, and hopefully we'll want tourism to come to our town. This is not helping our tourism. So in my opinion, I agree with the deputy mayor's take on this. We gave the province an ample chance. Remember sitting in here with 200 people discussing it. And you guys were around the table. And woulda, coulda, shoulda, here we are at the 11th hour, and all I'm hearing is, we should do this, we should do that, we should do this. We should have done that 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Yes, I agree, and I would be supporting it, and I second the motion to put it back to 4-lane. Thank you, Your Worship.
Councilor McCoy.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's unfortunate that we're at this point, which has already been echoed, but I support this motion in principle as I share in the frustration that councillors have, that the public has expressed, and I'm sure the staff feel with respect to the lack of action by Public Works to even begin to address deficiencies identified during the public survey completed over 2 years ago, and issues identified by council and staff regarding the road diet pilot. I say in principle because Reeve Street, again, is a provincial road and ultimately it is their decision to make. I had correspondence back in November with engineer Wayne Cross looking for an update. He replied to me and indicated that there was a meeting with the management group to review short and long-term plans and the next phase of the multi-use pathway project. He said this also includes the elements that we intended to clear up with the original pilot study scope. Go forward on March 1st, town staff met with senior staff from Public Works to review a document that our manager of engineering and Public Works had put together last May, which this is based on. It was a list of 19 items in that document which were identified as areas of concern and deficiencies. The takeaway from that meeting with Public Works was they would arrange to make a presentation to council. That was what we were advised. At the May 7th council meeting, Mr. Doyle advised, and it was an issue raised by Councillor Coyne, it was a question that at that time was an update, and Mr. Doyle advised that he had reached out to 2 senior engineers asking that they attend the committee of the whole meeting to present to council. And as far as this afternoon, when I wrote this, I had said, as far as I now know, they have not responded to this request. At the end of the day, I believe it's incumbent upon council to be proactive, to work to have these outstanding issues addressed. And in that light, I am prepared to make a motion after this motion is dealt with, asking for council support to send an invite to the Minister of Public Works, the Deputy Minister of Public Works, and the Deputy Premier to meet with council at our September meeting. The frustration is unbelievable. This traffic count that's going to be done this summer, why wasn't it done last summer around these permissive lights? And that was one of the major things that Public Works agreed to before council voted to support the pilot project in February of 2019, as that commitment was made, which we felt, and I still feel, and other people feel, is very important. And then we find out months later that because of cost, it was just taken out of the plan. So anyhow, it's you would think the province would want to see that this project, which they hailed so much about, succeed. And the way to do that was to try to address these issues that we identified 2 years ago. So anyhow, that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to make a quick comment and then I'll go right back to you. So I guess my question to staff on the motion, I understand the intent of the motion. Obviously, we have zero power to make any decisions with regard to Reeve Street. It is not our real estate. But I would ask, we do have an AT project that we have agreements with in terms of contract and monies that we've received for that. We just asked staff to comment on, if this motion may be contrary to a project that we have literally just approved in our budget. I wanted to ask staff to comment on that. I don't know if it would be in our best interest to make a motion that is counterintuitive to the budget we just passed with regard to one of our active transportation projects.
So so the AT component of Ray Street could not, obviously could not proceed with the 4-lane configuration. So that would, that funding that we've approved several times, that would not be utilized.
In the worst case scenario, if they listen and change it back to 4 lanes, then
Then you lose the AT on New Street.
Yeah.
So be it.
Yeah.
Through
I
you.
think
Oh,
Councillor
yes, go
McDougall was
ahead.
first, and then over to you, Deputy Mayor.
Your worship, I'd like to amend the motion. I'd like to amend the motion. If the motion is passed, that the letter be sent, the motion to be sent to council, for council to look at, and the motion be sent to the province within 2 weeks. So we can get this moving.
So, just so I'm understanding correctly, Councillor McCrory's suggestion to.
It has nothing to do with the motion, your worship,
Okay,
without,
could you repeat it so I can understand?
I'm amending the original motion, that if the original motion passes, that the motion be sent to council to review and to be sent to the provincial representatives, or as the Minister of Works Department or who, within 2 weeks.
Well, the motion being considered tonight is already on the floor. I'm not sure.
You can always make an amendment to a motion. I'm making an amendment to the motion that's on the floor.
Right.
The motion on the floor may or may not pass, we don't know. But if it does pass, I want the amendment voted on first, that it be done within I'm trying to get a timely frame here. We can say we want to send a motion to the province, and we'll wait 6 months' time, you didn't give us a time frame. I'm giving a time frame, your worship.
Okay, so 2 weeks for if the motion passes to be sent to the province. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Do we have a seconder on that amendment to the motion?
Second.
Okay, so we currently have an amendment to the motion on the floor with regard to if a motion passes to be sent to the province within a 2-week period. Any discussion on the amendment?
Your worship, could I get some clarification?
Your worship, with all due respect, I don't think that staff can be debating on a motion.
No, but I do know the deputy mayor did want to make comments, so we're going to go back over to you.
On the amendment?
No, he
No,
had a comment.
I do. Through you, your worship, I do have a comment, but not on the amendment.
Your worship, with all due respect, the CAO has the ability to raise points of clarification at any time through the process. This is a clarification with respect to clarification on the motion that's being raised. That what was said by the councillor was that the motion would be reviewed by council within a 2-week period. All I'm asking is a clarification, is that a letter be prepared and reviewed by council within 2 weeks. That is the point of clarification that I am requesting. And I am perfectly able to do that in accordance with the Municipal Government Act. And the rules.
Allowed to talk, yes, once on, if asked.
I did ask.
No, that's not correct.
That's where we disagree.
I did ask.
I did
staff
ask that,
for
your worship, I did ask that the letter be sent to council to review, yes. I did ask that during the motion. Is there a misunderstanding with that?
You asked for the motion to be, it was just a,
In the
you asked for the motion to
motion,
be considered.
in the motion, I want the letter to be sent to council to review, then to be sent to the minister or whoever is responsible for public works within a 2-week period. Is that not, if staff needs longer, do we?
No, that's not the point. The point was about the letter. So the letter was never mentioned. It was talking about reviewing the motion. And so the letter will be prepared, just for clarification, the amendment would, from my perspective, the amendment would include the preparation of a letter to be prepared and reviewed by council within it and sent to the appropriate government officials within a 2-week period.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
So Deputy Mayor, you are the next speaker.
Through your worship. As the CEO has mentioned through you that we have a active transportation lane that would affect this whole project. I'm sure that the province is aware of it, that what's involved here. And I think
Point of order,
But the-
Your Worship. Point of order. I'm just wondering, is this the main motion we're discussing now or the amendment to the motion?
oh, that's right. It's
I
the,
think we have to vote on the amendment.
but this
first,
is not
Your
on the
Worship.
Well, we
amendment.
are still discussing the amendment. Is there any comment on the amendment?
No.
Okay, anybody else have any discussion on the amendment?
So just to clarify,
That's
So-
the theme.
but the letter would be prepared and circulated to council for review
Within 2 weeks before it's sent to the province.
and with the intention of it being sent to the province within the 2 weeks. Right.
That's correct.
All of those things would happen.
Correct.
I mean, this is it's a quick way of communicating nowadays, email, text. I mean, we can communicate pretty fast.
Are you making another amendment?
Only if I have to.
We have a current amendment on the floor.
Question.
The question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Okay, we now have an amended motion. Over to you, Deputy Mayor.
On the original motion, the CAO spoke about the active transportation project that's attached to the Reeve Street. I would think that the province is well aware of that. And they know what's at stake, I guess, or will know what's at stake when this goes through. And also I'd like to add that I don't know about the rest of council, but I'm prepared to meet with any government officials on this at any time. And I really have to echo the amount of time that has been put into this by this council and the lack of respect of the provincial government and the department in not meeting with us. And it would not have come to this, I think, if they came here, and also to send this on the 11th hour. And there is monetary issues in this, and there's no heading and no signature. So that this is not binding in any way. So that's all I have to say on it, Your Worship.
Okay. Back over to you. You're the next speaker in line.
Well, Your Worship, I have no further question than that. I've just, Councillor Gorey is still not clear on the amendment, I think. I'm just trying to clarify something. Again, the amendment was to send it to the appropriate, I'm assuming the Minister of Works. Right, yeah, we understand that, but that goes without saying, right? I was just saying that I didn't say the minister. I thought I said the minister or whoever, whatever department is involved.
But the letter needs to be approved by council, like draft.
Correct.
Yeah, just to who it was sent to, I guess. But I think,
And also setting whatever motion is approved. Okay. Councilor Court.
Oh, no further. We're good. Thank you.
got a question on the main motion.
Well, prior to accepting it for the vote, I am concerned about the project that we have for the AT lane. And sometimes be careful what you wish for, and that I'm worried how that might put us at risk legally with our project applications. And anyway, so for that reason, I won't be supporting this motion. The question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, 1 nay. The motion is approved. Anything else on that item? I believe Councilor Corey, you added that?
No, I think we're dealt with it, it's fine.
The night is young. Okay, we'll move on then. Our next item is Crosswalk Flag Initiative. And I'm happy to just give a quick overview with regard to the project. I mean, it's brought forward to the town from the 9D French immersion class from SARIC under the leadership of Claude Broussard, who would be their teacher. This is part of, I believe, a civics project that this class had undertaken. It's in your package. And as you can see in your package, you've probably seen these in Halifax and other areas. It's a pretty inexpensive but effective way to help increase visibility for children who are crossing sidewalks. So as you can see in the pictures, you got the little neon flags that kids can carry across that increases their visibility to any traffic that may be in and around whatever intersection those crosswalks may be visible at. And Terry, did you want to comment on, I guess, the
Well, no,
package
I just say
and the cost and
that,
the
yeah,
package?
so I think this has been successful in Halifax. It's being used in a number of towns, specifically in cities. Antigonish has employed these, as well as Halifax and all the larger centers. It's usually a community initiative that puts it up. So there is some proven success with the use.
Yeah.
And it's a popular way for persons to get involved in traffic safety as well.
And I think it's really great that the grade 9 class did come up with this presentation to be presented to council for consideration. So staff, I guess the staff recommendation is that we could try out 3 crosswalk flag kits to see how they work. And I think some of the locations that the students have recommended were Granville Street, Reeve Street, and was it
Tamarack Drive.
Tamarack Drive? But of course, that it would be, our staff would look to see where the best places would be to pilot these. And I would ask that council consider the request of this class to add these things to 3 sidewalks in town.
I'd make that motion.
Thank you, Councillor McCrory. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Thank
Put it on the
you,
floor.
Deputy Mayor. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, Councillor Point.
Through you, your worship, I hear Tamarack Drive. So Tamarack Drive, every intersection has more than 1 crosswalk. So are we putting them on 2 or 3 in the same intersection? Because if so, this gets expensive really quick. And I'm sure when I see what the picture is,
Could
and
you go back to the picture?
and I see $300 price tag on that, something's telling me we can do that a lot cheaper. Like that looks like it's something you would buy at the dollar store, to be honest. For $300, that's an expensive kit.
Through you, your worship. Yes, it is expensive. I do agree, but you can't put a cost on safety. And I would add that the town do this as a pilot.
Mhm.
Like these 3, not to jump into a whole bunch.
Mhm.
Like just try a pilot and see what happens. And on the Tamarack one, are they talking
Probably
crosswalk at the
where
highway?
school is.
or by the schools?
Yeah.
There's a lot, okay, that cross that.
Mhm.
I don't object to it, because if it is working in other municipalities, there's no reason it can't work here, but we should maybe be cautious and just try a pilot first.
So try 3 kits and see how
Yeah.
it goes. Okay, go ahead.
This yours are 2 years, so 1 kit costs $280, I'm saying, so is that, or 2 kits?
It would be,
1 kit is 2
2 containers. one
containers
for
with
each
flags
side.
in it.
So it's $280 so for 1 kit.
Well, for 2 containers. One kit is 2 containers.
So we need 3 kits, obviously.
3 kits.
Three different.
Yes.
For 3 different
Yes.
costs.
I guess, what, did you say Granville Street? What's on
Well,
Granville Street?
it's up to the senior staff where's the best places to put it. So maybe one at the community park to help like get kids across safely, maybe one by the elementary school, and I don't know where the third one could be put, but of course it's
Okay,
we don't have to have an exact location, but
okay, I just.
just there's 3 kits and you can pick 3 of the best sidewalks that I guess would,
High visibility ones.
yeah, increase
used.
safety at crossing where a lot of kids are crossing.
I know, your worship, when I was in school, we used to have a crosswalk there, but I guess them days are gone.
That was only one room school.
It was a one-room school, yeah.
Yeah, and you had to
No
walk through 6 feet of
electricity.
snow to get to school in the
There's no
summer.
electricity, hot belly stove.
Only one way though.
Only one way uphill,
And there weren't
uphill
many-
both ways.
there weren't many cars.
My mother told me the same tales. Councilor Corey,
So let's.
I'm sorry, Councilor Corey, I just want to give you the opportunity to comment if you like.
Yeah, I think what this is intended to be is a pilot, and we've identified, staff will identify a number of particular intersections, and this would be a first step.
All right, any other discussion?
Question.
Okay, the question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Okay, the motion is approved. I'm happy to circle back to Bob Broussard to let his students know that we are happy to participate in the pilot, and we appreciate their proposal. Our next item is Evergreen, the Evergreen Seniors Club letter of support, and this is just basically a letter of support. They have an accessibility project, and similar to prior asks for any kind of renovations at the Evergreen Seniors Club, they're asking for a town of support letter. So the motion for consideration would be that the town of Roxbury send a letter of support for the accessibility upgrades to the Evergreen Seniors Club. What is the wishes of council?
You're gonna use it first, so you must as well. put the motion on. I'll move the motion.
And seconded by Councillor McDougall.
I would second the motion.
In discussion?
Yeah.
Do you want to start discussion?
I can just start the discussion if you want, your worship, yes. There's 2 things here. First of all, the letter from, I'm seeing Mr. Stewart, Archie Stewart,
Archie Stewart,
is
correct.
sent to yourself and Alan McMaster, our MLA.
Mhm.
And I guess if we pass this endorsement, is it going to be from council or is it just going to be from you and Alan? And my second part of the question, before I forget it, your worship,
Sure.
since I was going to single big schools, I see, I forgot it. No,
I took too long, sorry about that.
you took too long.
All right.
It doesn't, who is the letter going to? Is it, if it's going to the
It's an
ministry?
application, it's a program application.
Yeah, but it must be sent to somebody. I'm wondering who the letter is going to.
I can certainly get some clarification from Archie Stewart with regard to that request. I'm assuming it's a funding application, likely provincial,
Well, if it's likely provincial,
and then
it's probably,
which is why you're.
it's probably sending it to himself, is he? I'm just wondering, and if it's for us to put in any funding, are we sending it to ourselves? I just, unless there's a certain,
Yeah, it's just a letter of support, there's no funding request at this point.
okay, the letter of support to, I'm just wondering where the letter's going, that's all.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, and I can get clarification
Please, please.
on that, on what program application that they are going to be applying for. So I would ask for consideration of this motion tentatively based on seeking out that information. Okay, any other comments or questions?
Question?
Okay, question has been called. All those in favor, by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded. Motion is approved. Next item is summer recess. Terry?
Move to strike that.
Well, we can
It
meet
sounds
all
like
summer
it's gonna
long.
be short recess. It sounds like it's gonna be short recess.
I'll go anywhere. Motion for consideration that the town of Port Hawkesbury recess for the months of July and August for regular public council meetings and committee of whole meetings, and will call special public meetings as required.
I will move the motion.
I would second it.
That was done with a little too much enthusiasm. Any discussion on the motion?
Question.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Okay, the summer recess is approved. Okay, so we do have one addition for consideration of council this evening for truck and tractor pull. Our CAO Terry is going to give us a little outline on that request.
Yes, your worship. So there's a group of businesses within the Strait area that is attempting to organize the hosting of a truck and tractor pull. And they want to host that event on Unity Drive. That's on the heavy equipment site on Unity Drive. So there's support from the Heavy Equipment Operator Course, NECC, from Lowell McDonald, from Beaton Mechanical, from Norbon Industries. And there's also support from two fire halls, that is the Fort Hastings Volunteer Fire Department and the West Bay Road Volunteer Fire Department. It'll be used as a fundraising activity for that. So the motion for consideration with respect to that is that the town of Port Hawkesbury approve the use of Unity Drive property for the straight truck and tractor pull scheduled for September 21st, 2024, subject to meeting health, safety, security, and liability conditions, and the approval of the co-owners of the property, the municipality of the county of Richmond. So we will work with the group to ensure that the measures are put in place that the event can be held safely and without liability to the town.
I will move the motion.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
Second.
Okay, we have a mover and a seconder. Any discussion?
Yes, through your worship. To Terry, through you. Do we have the authority to make a motion as this, as we have the land leased to Nova Scotia Community College?
Through you, your worship, so Nova Scotia Community College are in support of the event.
Yes.
So, yeah, but it's a good point, but I've certainly talked to them. They're in support of that, but I'll see if there's any, that the liability around utilizing a property that we have leased to another organization.
I would,
It's okay.
I guess before I could approve any motion like that, I'd like to see something from the leaseholder stating that they're okay with liability too, because they're.
Would you like to offer that as an amendment in the?
Point of order.
I mean, we're on the roll.
But we do have
It's right in the motion.
yes, thank you.
Right in the motion, your worship.
What is?
Subject to meeting health, safety, security, and liability conditions. It's gotta be approved.
Yeah, but not from us, not from the town.
We would need to add NSCC as a leaseholder to this motion.
Correct. I'm all in favor of it happening, but I just want to make sure that it would
Would
be.
you like to amend? to add
Yes, your
NSCC?
worship, I would amend
Okay.
the motion.
So we do have an amendment for consideration to add NSCC as one of the proponents of this motion. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Coyne. Any discussion on the amendment?
Question.
Question.
Okay, the question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded. Okay, so the motion is amended to include NSCC. What is the wishes of council? Any discussion?
Question.
Okay, the question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded. Motion is approved. We have future meetings. Our next public meeting is going to be in September, followed by our committee of the whole. So we have Our main council meeting is usually the first Tuesday of every month, and our committee of the whole on the third Tuesday. So at this time, I would ask if there are any public questions. You're certainly welcome to come up to the podium. The questions need to be from any of the items that are on our agenda. And of course, if there's anyone online who would wish to ask a question, you can step up to the podium. Just let us know your name, and happy to answer any questions if we can. And if we can't answer them this evening, we're happy to get information for you at a later date. Okay. So hearing no questions this evening, I would ask for council for a motion of adjournment.
Moved, I guess.
I hate to second, leave you guys all that the summer with it, just all second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded.
Miss you when you're gone.